Hi, this is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law. I'm an estate planning and elder law planning attorney here in Irvine, and I'd like to share with you some of my thoughts today about whether or not a trust is going to be more hassle than it's worth. I was talking with clients recently, and the husband had a really great question, I thought, and I wanted to share my response with all of you. His question was, will setting up this trust really be more of a hassle than a help? Because I've heard all sorts of stories about trust litigation, trust dividing families, siblings fighting with each other because one's a trustee and when one's not. What I don't want to do is create something that's going to make life more complicated than it already is. This is a great question because it's something that's on the brain of many of the people that we talk to, and it's certainly something that we address commonly. You might have this kind of thought yourself. So that's why I wanted to touch base with you about that today. But first, I want to just remind you, if you have any questions as a follow-up to today's conversation, please, you can just respond in the feed here on Facebook or reach out to us at www.asksnyderlaw.com and schedule a time to have a brief chat with me. Happy to do that. So back to our question at hand, which is, will setting up a trust be more of a hassle than a help? Because at the core of doing your estate planning, you want to make sure that you're leaving a gift behind for your loved ones and not a burden at all. So this is what I share in response to that question. Life is complicated, and if you don't do your estate planning correctly, all you're going to end up doing, of course, is creating more complications. So it's not necessarily that the trust itself is going to be adding a complexity that's going to lead to some sort of hassle or hindrance or some fighting later on. It's the process in which you engage. So there's three aspects to this, and ensuring and guaranteeing that your estate planning, your trust planning, is going to be more of a gift than a burden. So here are those three aspects. Number one, making sure that you're doing your planning thoughtfully. The second is making sure that you're maintaining your plan over time. And the third aspect to all this is communication, and communication is key. So let's review those. The first is engaging in a very thoughtful process in doing your planning. This doesn't mean that you're going to take forever to do your planning and procrastinate or try to be perfectionist in your planning, because as we know, we're going to be able to change that over time when we maintain. But this means engaging in a thoughtful process to ensure that you're thinking about all the right things that you need to think about and making the important decisions so you're just not hastily setting up what could be a burden later, because you don't know what you don't know, or you're using kind of a template form and just filling in the boxes, which ends up being like estate planning, Mad Libs for estate planning, which is filling in a template form which a lot of times won't make sense when you actually play it out and read it aloud. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to work together to create a plan that is comprehensive and one that really guides you through that thoughtful discernment process to ensure that you're choosing the right people to make decisions for you, to be your trustees. You're understanding how beneficiaries are receiving inheritances and the different options that you have to avoid conflict in the future. So that's number one. Number two is maintaining that plan over time, because life changes. Your needs are going to change. Your goals are going to change in response to change in life. Death, taxes, and change are certainties in life. So we're going to need an estate plan and a trust that's going to be able to adjust to those life changes. Sometimes that's in the form of a revocable living trust that can change over time. Other times it's about adjusting our estate plan with additional types of trusts that might fit more of the needs for our family, our personal needs over time. But if we're not looking at our trust at all or our estate planning at all over time, we're not going to know that we might need to do these things. So we need to periodically do that. Here, we encourage our clients to have annual meetings so that we're at least having the touch point, just like you would go to the doctor every year or get your car serviced at certain times. We're getting that diagnosis of, hey, everything's okay, or hey, these are some things to think about, or hey, we need to do something right now. And in that way, you can ensure that in the moment, in real time, that you are responding to different things that are happening in your life, so that your plan is going to work, and you're not going to have an outdated plan at the time you're going to need it to work for you. And the last aspect is probably the most crucial of the three, and the most often overlooked that we see is communication. And that's good communication with those that are involved in your planning. Of course, good communication with the attorney that you're using in developing your plan, so you can both go through a comprehensive, thoughtful process in creating it, making sure that you're communicating with your attorney to maintain your plan and they're communicating with you. And lastly, though, with your decision makers, making sure you're communicating with them. Do they know that you have a plan? Do they know where and how to access those important legal documents so that your plan can work for you in a crisis and an emergency? Do they know their roles and responsibilities of what they're supposed to be doing after you pass away or if there is an incapacity? Are you learning whether or not they want to accept that role? Are you diffusing potential conflicts early amongst your children or your family because you're sharing with them your thoughts about the plan and you are explaining why you're doing certain things? With knowledge comes power, but with knowledge and communication also comes understanding. Sometimes people just will never understand, but at least they know in advance and you can get in front of certain problems, particularly ones that you might not have been aware of. Sometimes our clients have these communications and conversations with people that think they might want to name as an important decision maker, only to learn that that person that would never want to do that and fulfill that role. So that's important. Or they're diffusing assumptions that they have because they think that their children might want to serve as a successor trustees in a certain order, and they have to adhere to that when the children actually don't care, and they'd much rather have had an open conversation to understand their parents' wishes and designs and come together as a family. So those are just some examples where communication is crucial. So if you can combine those three things, going through a thoughtful design process of your estate plan, maintaining it over time and reviewing it, and lastly having the communication with your family and other important decision makers in your planning, then you have the best chance of being able to leave a gift and not a burden, and you're going to be doing much more help, and there'll be less opportunity for hassle moving forward. So hopefully that was helpful for you. And again, if you have any questions, please put them in the feed here. I'll be happy to respond to you, or you can go to www.asksnyderlaw.com and schedule some time offline to chat with me, and happy to do that for you as well. Again, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law. I help parents, seniors, and veterans plan to protect what matters most. That is protecting their family, their dignity, and their legacy. And happy to do the same for you. Let me know how I can be a good help and good service to you. All right, everyone, have a wonderful and amazing week, and I'll be talking to you soon. Take care.